So I wanted to give some sincere apologies here, because I have been, in a way, kind of ignoring the Detroit Red Wings the past few days. I was not in Vancouver and had to pre-record the entire show for the week whilst doing some vlogs on the street in Las Vegas. But when it comes to the Detroit Red Wings, they did play their very first game of the 24-25 season yesterday, and it happened to coincide with the ending of the Canadiens and the Bruins game that was also happening. Unfortunately, I was paying most of my attention to the Habs and Bruins game. For the Red Wings and the Penguins game, I was already getting the notifications on my phone. I was kind of seeing that the Penguins were smoking Detroit. So by the time I got home from the airport and, kind of settled back in, I was like, okay, look, I don't even have the channel for the Wings game. I'm just going to throw on the Montreal game, watch them try to make this comeback, and we'll be on our way. But either way, yesterday the Wings pulled off a very impressive 6-3 loss at the hands of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the game was one where, just reviewing some of the tape, watching some of the goals that went in, seeing the plays that transpired using the new NHL goal simulation visualization tool that they have on their website, which is really useful, by the way. Like, my gosh, seeing how Alex DeBrincat was able to get his first goal on the year with a live, moving, video tracking graph system, that is cool. But Red Wings goals aside, DeBrincat scored 2. He looks pretty good. Nice way to start out the year for him. Raymond had 2 assists. Mo Seider had an assist on the Tarasenko goal, which was also assisted by DeBrincat, so we had 3 points in this one. Nice to see Alex the Cat getting a point on all of the Wings' goals. But as the scoreline would indicate, the Penguins scored 6, and it was a pretty ugly 6, too. You take a look at the box score here. Ville Husso let in 4 goals to start out the game on 14 shots against. Cam Talbot let in 2 goals in 14 shots against as well. So split the load there. 4 goals Husso, 2 goals Talbot. Husso started the game out here for Detroit. And I did see a lot of people going out there and talking about some of the things that were going on in this game. In particular, I wanted to turn your attention to the Detroit Red Wings post-game thread that was tossed out there by the Wings sub that goes over some of the extra thoughts that fans had. In particular, this thread from Bald-Ass Head Coach, funny username by the way, I wonder whom they're referring to, goes out there and says this: I don't care that the Red Wings lost, I care how they lost. And how they lost was due to the same issues that have plagued this team since Derek Lalonde was hired. If those issues don't get ironed out pronto, they're in for a long season unless Yzerman has the stones to make a coaching change mid-season. The only thing nice I could say about the Wings is that they had a good 10 minutes to start the game, and they finally pulled Husso when he crapped the bed, unlike last season. Okay, now that's, pretty harsh there. But yeah, Ville Husso got the pull early on. He only let in 4 goals in this one, which, is an improvement? Maybe? Still not ideal, of course. One may even ask why they started Husso in the first place. You could say it's because of the preseason. He was pretty good over there, but the preseason is a preseason, right? The games don't necessarily mean anything. Anyways, the reply goes out there and says here, one of the same issues the Red Wings have is their roster construction. It's horrifying to watch. I don't have a strong opinion about Derek Lalonde, but I don't know what people expect him to do when he needs to play Chiarot and Petry in the top 4. And this expands into a bigger and badder conversation as to the Wings and their construction as a whole, because for me, when I hear about Petry and Chiarot playing in the top 4, I do not think Red Wings. I do not think that any ounce of their effectiveness in that role was with Detroit in any capacity. I think about literally just 3 years ago, when the Montreal Canadiens went to the finals, they had Petry, Chiarot, Weber, and Edmondson in their top 4. Not in that order. Chiarot was with Weber and Petry was with the other guy, but still, that was like a super tight, defensively sound brick wall of a decor. And it worked. And in theory, you could say, okay, well, try to do the same thing, but instead of having Shea Weber, you have Mo Seider. And instead of having Edmondson, you have Edvinsson. Kind of funny how the names even sound the same, right? Petry, Chiarot, Seider, Edvinsson, Petry, Chiarot, Weber, Edmondson. Try saying that 10 times fast. Even just the other two guys. Edvinsson. Anyways, getting off track here. Those two guys were good 3 years ago. Back when they were a lot more defensively sound, a lot more offensively productive too in Petry's case, and back when they were younger. They're definitely not in the prime youths of their careers. So for both Chiarot and Petry, the fact that they're forced to play in this top 4 role, it goes to Stevie Y. It goes into the way he decided to build this team. You have a lot of these extra decisions that were made. Okay, we're going to bring in Justin Hall. Now guess what? He's waived. You're going to bring in all these other guys to clog up the middle 6 of the forward core. You have this goaltending tandem that needs to be addressed. Ville Husso had a really good preseason, but other than that, what else is he shown for? Nothing. Alex Lyon helped the team barely make the playoffs. I feel like more commitment should have been given out to him. Cam Talbot was supposed to be the fresh new face on the block that was super good in a better defensive system and other teams. He had a really good resume. I, like many other Wings fans, had all the reason to believe in Cam Talbot. And I get it, one game is one game, and he had 2 goals a game, so it's not like he played poorly, but when you think about the rest of the team in front of him, hey, this was always going to be a question on my mind. How good is Talbot going to be when he doesn't have that LA defense in front of him? The LA defense is a lot better than the Wings defense, because they don't have to play Chiarot and Petry in the top 4. Roster construction is starting to become a bigger and more talked about issue. Take a look at this comment from Awoken Beetle. Thank you. This roster construction is genuinely ass. Derek Lalonde can't go out there and do everything himself. He could become George Washington or Marcus Aurelius as a leader, and it won't make a lick of a difference if all he has to work with are has-beens and never-wases. Sooner rather than later, Yzerman has to put the onus on his draft picks and hope the guys in the lower levels did their jobs in coaching them to competency. In the 6 years he's been here, a whopping 3 draft picks have graduated, and one of them only for this current year in Edvinsson. That is not okay. The season is far from over, but my gosh, this was a crappy way to start off. I love Steve Yzerman, and I appreciate him, but it's year 6. This team shouldn't have this ugly of a roster. One more for good measure here from Main Cryptology. I agree. He is the front-facing person, but firing Derek Lalonde will not fix all the problems this team has. They play uninspired hockey, barely look like a unit, much less a team. He needs to fix that part. Yzerman needs to fix the journeyman players. And so with all this in mind, I wanted to open the conversation floor up to y'all here on YouTube. The Reddit folks have their own ideas. I wanted to expand that here on to this platform, because when it comes to roster construction, I think that's been the biggest, okay, let's just try to shove it under the rug and pretend that it's not really as bad as it is talking point that Red Wings discourse has had the past few months here. I get it, you want to see the optimistic side take over. You want to see Alex DeBrincat and Raymond and Larkin and these guys producing points and getting up on the board and carrying the team to victories, and they probably will. The Wings are going to win games this season. They're not going to be terrible basement-level top 3 in the draft material. They'll get points and they'll get goals, and maybe a 6-3 loss to Pittsburgh is inevitable once in a while. And as we had said in the video earlier today, one game is one game. Canucks fans harping on Petey, Wings fans harping on Yzerman and the roster construction, it's one game. Things can change, but for now, one game is all we have to go off of, and that one game was not great. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Wings game yesterday against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Do you want to focus on the positive? DeBrincat had 3 points, that's great, but everything else? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the roster construction, the goaltending, the commitment to Husso, the defenseman pairings, what you're seeing out of Edvinsson, what you're seeing out of Seider, what you're seeing out of Chiarot and Petry. I feel like it's always those 2 guys. Chiarot, Petry, everybody talks about them, mostly because they are the ones that stick out the most. And even comments like these go out there and talk about the guys that are there still. Moritz Seider's mean streak and aggressive play has been completely neutered since Derek Lalonde arrived. There are a lot of things you could dive into with the Wings, but I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Apologies for not have seen the game myself live as it happened. I did see the clips and the highlights and everything, but that was about it. Thoughts in the comment section, though, about the Red Wings and their roster. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.